Hi everyone, we are here with Keri Lee of BlueMarvel, and we're going to talk about Win It and Own It. On WEDO Pay It Forward, let's get in with it. Welcome, I'm Milena Radakovic, and this is WEDO Pay It Forward. Welcome back to WEDO Pay It Forward. I'm so excited for our next guest, Keri Lee. Keri Lee, thank you so much for being here. It's so wonderful. So Keri Lee and I had the pleasure to hear her. She was one of our keynote speaker. If any of you attended the Women's Entrepreneurship Day Summit last fall, November 19th, 2024 was our 5-year anniversary. Keri was our keynote speaker. So why don't you tell us, Keri, a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name's Keri. I currently run a technology company based here in Calgary. So we build software that's focused in the industrial automation space. So taking large-scale industrial facilities, making them more energy efficient, more performant, and making it easier for operators to be able to manage a fleet of operations.
And you're one of the youngest CEOs in that industry. So tell us about that journey. That couldn't have been easy. I mean, I started my career in a male-dominated as well, in the oil patch, and that was in the early 2000s, where had our own hurdles. Tell me about your journey, because back in 2000, I would have never seen this. So, I mean, kudos even to you. So how the industry has changed, but it takes a very incredible woman leader to be where you are right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I give a lot of credit to my dad, actually, for that. So he was a serial entrepreneur, and he worked in the services business in oil and gas. So a bit of like the rough and tumble out in the field, running trucks and wireline businesses. And so I think I got like the entrepreneurial bug like pretty early because, you know, discussions at our dinner table were always about running a business, right? So he kind of instilled that belief in me like pretty early as a kid of like, go work for yourself. Like you can always work for others and like learn lots, but if you want to ultimately be like financially free, like you got to figure out how to work for yourself. And so I think early on, like I wanted to start a business, I wanted to like work for myself, but I felt like I never had a good idea. So it's like, oh, like I've got skills, like I'm educated, I could like do these things, but like I don't know like what I should do. And I also didn't want to be in business by myself. So I had a few false starts. I started off as a public relations practitioner, so working as a consultant. I worked at some of the really big firms and honestly like really fell in love with business, like just in general, and crisis, as like crazy as that sounds, like a bit of an adrenaline junkie in that space. And so through that work, had an opportunity to work for like a lot of the big major oil and gas companies, consumer packaged good companies, and sort of interface with business leaders on the public relations side. And I very quickly kind of realized like as much as I'm like in love with like the communications piece of an organization, what I'm really passionate about is like figuring out how to fix the operation. Because it's like good PR is awesome, but I mean, it can only go so far, right? Like you need to still be running a sound business. So that's kind of like where everything started. A couple friends and I, like we had companies and ideas around things like maybe we'll buy a business, maybe we'll start our own consultancy. But ultimately, I went to go and work for two entrepreneurs based here in Alberta. And so I want to say sort of the build up to wanting to start a business, working for Corey Jansen and Nicole Jansen at Alta ML. They started a company, I want to say in the 2000s as well, called Investopedia. And since then have started like a number of different businesses. And so I was very fortunate to come on to work for those two as their chief of staff, and really got sort of like my foot in the door of like, holy cow, anyone can start a business. And so I started worked in the venture studio there, and BlueMarvel was actually incubated in that venture studio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so like it was an idea with a data set and one technical person. And so Corey was like, okay, like go run this thing. Like you've got the skills to be able to do that. So bit of like a weird journey from PR, worked in nonprofit, all sorts of different spaces, but always just like a curiosity and a passion for like figuring out problems. And so BlueMarvel is just kind of the latest, and it's become my little baby. And now we've actually grown to like a team of 30 people here in the city.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people in the audience who are at the startup phase, and they have a great idea. Now they're like, how do I grow it? So at a startup phase, how did you go out? Because you need funding, especially in the AI and the tech space. How did you get the right partners to fund your business?
Yeah, so we were really fortunate in that Spartan Controls was like the one of the founding partners of the company to start with, and so they brought the subject matter expertise to the table, and it was really funny. Like Terry Schmelik, who is like obviously like a board member as well as like a mentor of mine, he kind of said to me like, we want you to come over and run this company for us. And I was like, well, why, right? Like you've got 1,000 people that work at your business. I'm not an engineer, like I'm not a technical person. And he's like, that's exactly why we want you to run our business. Like, you know, we've got like tons of process automation specialists here. Like we're looking for something different. And so I want to say that that was kind of like the start of like, whoa, like why is this guy like believing in me, right? To be able to do this. Like you're being given this opportunity, so take it.
Right.
Yeah.
So are they, so do you get carte blanche? Like, are you still the entrepreneur, or are you counted as part of? So it's your baby,
separate entity.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's your business. They're like a shareholder.
So they wholly own our organization.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But we are a separate entity.
Okay.
And so having them as like the sole partner versus like a joint venture just made it a lot more streamlined to be able to kind of execute on the vision that they had. And so we're very well capitalized and very fortunate as a result of that. And now that we're in like the next stage of growth for the business, we're actually going to go out to see like how we kind of grow and scale and what other strategic partners we might bring on from a financial perspective. So it's a very exciting time for the growth of the business.
So now let's talk about your leadership.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I mean, it couldn't have been easy being a young female in a energy sector which has always been male dominant.
Yeah.
Walk us through your, I would say, the strength that you brought to the table to win it all.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. Like, I think, again, like I do sort of like tie it back to these like early sort of like childhood dinner table conversations of like, you can literally do anything. Like, and my dad definitely like instilled that belief in us as kids. And so like getting that seat at the table, like you feel like an imposter because you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know that I earned it, but like you have to believe that you did because you did. And I still struggle with that like a little bit. But I do think like it fuels my energy and my passion to be undermined a little bit. Like there's like something about like having people like underestimate me or think like, oh, like she's such a sweet, nice, insert, offensive word here about what you might be as like a female leader. And part of that, I think, just like lights my fire. So like I can give you examples throughout my career. So I remember I applied to be on the board of governors at Mount Royal University. And I went to my very first board of governors meeting and they thought I was there to take the notes. And I was like, oh, you're a member of this board, just like the rest of us. It was like, oh, like she doesn't look like the rest of us. We don't really like that. But whoa, she's really prepared and she like knows her stuff. So it's like, okay, check, like feeling like an imposter, but like earning your place. And so I think like it's examples like that where you just sort of recognize like you do belong,
right.
Even though everyone is looking at you like you don't.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting. I just remember in my career journey, I did one of the companies in my corporate world when I was VP of marketing. I was part of the mergers and acquisition, and we had some government officials from China come in.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting on a Saturday because we had no choice. And I remember one of the guys said to the interpreter, "Can she go and get me some coffee?" And the CEO at the time, he just almost lost it. He's like, you're talking to our VP of marketing. She's here on a Saturday to help with this merger. She's not going to go get coffee. And so I love having, when you were talking about the backup from Terry, I believe, I think it's so important. I always say having that, the sponsor in the organization of wherever you are is very key in the growth of the company and your own development as well.
Yeah, it is. Like having like those like male and female allies, right? To kind of support you in your journey. And it's like, sometimes like you don't have the realization of yourself at the time that you have the capability, but like trust people around you that tell you that you're capable, right? Like you may not feel it or see it in yourself, but believe other people when they tell you you have what it takes, even if you don't feel it.
So if you want to take that leap of faith, take it. Take the risk. I am a big believer that as women, we're not big risk takers, and you need that community around you who are supporting you and your dream, whatever it is, if it's an entrepreneurial dream or if it's a corporate dream, and think that if something you want, you go get it. A lot of our males will look at an opportunity like the board opportunities, and for females, we say, oh, I think I can do 8 out of the 10. Where a male can say, oh yeah, I got 4, so I can just wing the rest. No, so women, take the risk, and it's not even a risk. You have the capability to do what you want to do, and don't be scared of that.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. This was really good. Thank you for being so authentic. What would you say, again for you, who was really big influencer in your life, or somebody that you looked up to in your career and entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like all of these entrepreneurs that like in my family. So like I've come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I just feel like small business is like the engine of our economy. And so just watching, like my family start businesses, run businesses, and own businesses has been like what's inspired me to want to do something similar.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So if in our audience, if they want to learn more about your company or wanting to get some support from you in your journey, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me is through LinkedIn. So you can just search Keri Lee, BlueMarvel AI, and find me there. Or you can email me directly at Keri, Keri, at bluemarvel.ai.
Wonderful. Thanks, audience. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for more. If you were inspired and want to join the WeDo community, then go to WeDoCanada.com and sponsor and nominate the next inspiring woman entrepreneur.